Hudson. You're 36,000 feet above the ocean, snacking on pretzels, when the cabin suddenly goes quiet. Way too quiet. That gentle humming you've been ignoring for 2 hours? Gone. Both engines have just stopped. So, are you about to fall out of the sky? Here's the surprising part. Probably not. Your plane just became a giant glider, and what happens next is stranger than any movie. Planes don't stay in the air because of engines. They fly because of their wings. Engines just provide the push forward. A modern jet glides about 15 miles forward for every single mile it falls. Pilots call this the glide ratio. From 7 miles up, a silent airliner can reach an airport more than 100 miles away, with zero fuel on board. Up in the cockpit, nobody is panicking. Pilots rehearse this exact nightmare in flight simulators every single year of their careers. First, they set the perfect gliding speed. Then one pilot flies the plane while the other runs the engine restart checklist. And here's a secret. As air rushes through a dead engine, it keeps spinning like a pinwheel. Often, that alone restarts it. But what powers the plane meanwhile? Meet the rat, the ram air turbine, a tiny propeller hiding inside the plane's belly. When the engines quit, it pops out into the airstream and spins like crazy, powering the flight controls and vital instruments. Yes, really, your 400-ton jet carries a backup windmill, and that little windmill has saved planes more than once. Back in the cabin, things feel strange. The plane tilts down only 3 degrees, which is gentler than your average driveway. Your ears pop, and some lights switch off to save power. But most passengers don't scream. They simply go silent. Psychologists call it brain lock. Your brain simply freezes and waits for instructions. That's exactly why flight attendants shout their command. Now for the famous one. January 2009. A plane leaves New York and flies straight into a flock of geese. Both engines die instantly. The plane is below 3,000 feet, far too low to glide back to any airport. Captain Sully Sullenberger has about 208 seconds to make a decision no pilot had ever trained for. He points the nose at the Hudson River and glides a full-sized airliner onto the water, smooth as a landing strip. All 155 people survive. Investigators later struggled to repeat that landing in simulators. The glide was that precise. Think that's the record? In 2001, an Air Transat flight ran out of fuel over the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. The pilots glided for roughly 75 miles, at night, over open water, and landed safely on a tiny island in the Azores. And in 1983, a Canadian jet ran dry at 41,000 feet, thanks to a mix-up between pounds and kilograms. The crew glided it down onto a retired runway being used as a racetrack that day. Every single person walked away. Pilots nicknamed that plane the Gimli Glider. After repairs, it kept flying passengers for another 25 years. Soshin says, so how likely is any of this? A total engine failure happens roughly once in every million flights, and nearly all end safely. Statistically, you could board a flight every single day for thousands of years before ever experiencing it yourself. So remember, losing engines doesn't mean losing lift. A hidden windmill keeps the controls alive, and your pilots have rehearsed everything. The next time your plane hits a quiet moment or a bumpy patch, you'll know the machine around you is built to glide. If you learned something new today, hit like and subscribe, and tell us in the comments the strangest thing you've seen on a flight.